everyone, and welcome to Positive by Design. Good people talking about real shit and easy to implement success methods. Hosted by Social Jane Media, brought to you by yours truly, Sarah Glenn. I am the creator and CEO of Social Jane Media, a certified social media marketing expert and the branding specialist that many entrepreneurs turn to. If you're looking for inspiration from other entrepreneurs and high-vibing humans, you're in the right place. So settle in, get comfy, and let's get started. Hello, everyone. Okay, in today's episode, I wanted to talk about comparison and specifically how comparison can actually be a gift. So I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. This is an entirely new perspective that I just heard the other day from one of my mentors that I do coaching with. I listen to her podcast. If you guys aren't familiar with Cynthia Stant, go download the Inner Feminine Beast podcast, subscribe to it, find her on Facebook. She's fucking fabulous. She had such a unique perspective around the topic of comparison. Now, this was from one of her really old, like I say old, it's a couple, I think it was 2020 was when she filmed it. But this was one of her very first podcast episodes. So she was just getting rocking and rolling with her podcast. And I decided after doing some mentorship with her that I wanted to revisit some of her early work. And this was one of the episodes I listened to was about comparison and her perspective on it, her take on it. It kind of blew my mind, but it also made me go, huh, that's true. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do a podcast episode about it because obviously people that are in my audience may not know of her and vice versa. And so that's the gift of social media. That's the gift of technology is that when you hear something, give credit where credit's due, but turn around and share it with your audience because they may not experience that message if you aren't the one to give it. And that's a whole nother topic of discussion of, not having to be the expert, but being willing to share your knowledge that you do have, et cetera, et cetera. But today we're going to talk about the gift of comparison. So the perspective of comparison is we always hear comparison is the thief of joy. Don't ever compare yourself to somebody else, right? I do think that in that message, there is some validity, but there also is some very limiting beliefs in that message. So, the way that the new perspective that when I heard it, I was like, this is fucking good. I'm going to share this is essentially that we are all one, right? Humanity as a whole, we are all one. And when it comes to what we witness in our day to day, in our physical world, right? When it comes to the things that we experience, we would not be experiencing those people or those things if we were not energetically vibing at that level. So let's say you have your business and you're like, damn, I'm not making the sales, I'm not having the conversations, and you're comparing yourself to what you're seeing on social media. Somebody else is making all the sales. She's constantly making posts about how she has a new client and she's making, 5, 6 figures a month, all the things. And you're comparing yourself and you're feeling really badly about yourself. Instead of having that perspective, you actually would not be able to witness this other person's success if that success was not possible for you. So, when it comes to universal laws, and this one in particular that it's referencing is the law of all, I think it's called. But essentially, what it is that you physically will not be witnessing or experiencing things in your life that are not possible for you. Like if you are not vibrating at an energetic level in order to experience other people that are on that same level, then you wouldn't. Right? How is it that we go through life and there are billions and billions of people, yet we only experience such a small amount of them? Yes, of course, geography has something to do with that, but also it has to do with your energetic vibration. It has to do with the fact that you could live in the same town or city as somebody and never, ever, ever in your entire life come into contact with this person because you are not energetically vibrating at the same level. So you are not experiencing the same things in life. So, with that law being true as it is, if you are experiencing other people, you're seeing other people finding that success and finding the sales that you so desire for yourself, instead of feeling bad about yourself, get excited. The fact that you are even witnessing this person's success means that it's possible for you. So instead, get really fucking excited. Look at their success, give them a yes, girl, I see you, keep fucking rocking it, and then turn to yourself and say, I'm excited. This is my journey. This is where I'm headed. This is the direction I'm going. This is what's possible for me because we are vibrating at the same energetic level that what is happening for her is entirely possible for me too. Now, when I heard this perception on Cynthia's podcast, oh, a light bulb went off. It was such a fantastic way of really peeling back that negative filter that we put on the whole concept of comparison. I'll be honest, up until this very moment of me recording this podcast, when someone like when a client comes to me or one of my friends that I'm in, my mentorship coaching groups with comes to me and they're talking about, God, I'm just always fucking comparing myself to people. I get stuck, in the scroll on social media and before I know it, I'm feeling really bad about myself and I'm just like, damn, why does this always happen? Well, I mean, up until today, when I'm recording this podcast episode, I would always be like, you're on your own journey. This is what it is. People are just experiencing life sort of on different levels. And to a degree, that is true, right? Maybe if I've started my business 2 years ago compared to someone who's starting their business today, obviously we are going to be on slightly different trajectories for when we reach our goals. Um, it just depends how fast are you going at that point. Someone who started their business 2 years ago, if they're only moving the needle maybe once a week in their business rather than every day, then someone who starts their business today, within 2 months, they could be at the same point, right? But the fact is, comparing yourself to others, it's not about feeling bad about yourself. It's about recognizing the possibility that is ahead of you, recognizing that their success can and will be inevitably your success. Use it as inspiration, use it as as a template to build your own success. And I know for me, that actually has been one of the driving forces in my own success in my business. I don't let myself get stuck in the like scrolling of social media. If I see somebody with a really fantastic post and like they look so gorgeous in their photo, and maybe they're talking about all the money they're making, instead of feeling badly about myself, what I actually do is I tend to look at that piece of content from the perspective of another business owner. I tend to look at that piece of content from the perspective of the client that they are attracting. And I read the copy in that manner. And I focus on what do the words make me feel? And then I utilize something like that to help inspire me to build my own content, to help inspire me with a new thought process, a new way of communicating and connecting with my own audience. Because if I'm seeing something that's resonating with me and I'm not even their client, then to me, that says they're really fucking good at their job. They're really, really aligned with who they are and what they are doing and who they are serving. I applaud that. I think it's fantastic. So I actually don't tend to get stuck in the comparison game too frequently because I choose to have the perspective that what they are creating, I can too create for myself. So before I had even heard Cynthia's podcast about this concept, I sort of have been living it, but I wasn't really aware of it. And I'll tell you, self awareness, if you are new to the Positive by Design podcast, we talk about self awareness a lot because it is one of the most powerful things that you can ever do is be self-aware of your life, of your emotions, of how you react to things, how you perceive things. One of my recent podcast episodes, I think it was just 2 episodes ago, I was talking about perception and how it can be so powerful, but it can also be pretty deceptive. Um, because example right now, as we talk about comparison, the perspective of comparison in general for the majority of like the entrepreneurial world, at least from what I've experienced in the last 3 years, the idea of comparison has had a very negative perception on it. Don't compare yourself to others. It's just going to make you feel bad about yourself. Stick to your own lane and just keep, blinders on, that kind of thing. I can see how that messaging works, but in the long run, it really doesn't. Because as much as you say, yeah, put your blinders on and just focus on you, we have eyes. Like if you have the gift of sight, then you see what's happening around you. And the way our hardwired subconscious minds are, if you haven't done a lot of that inner work to rewire your subconscious to really become more self-aware and less reactive, then you're going to find yourself in that feeling of lack, that feeling of comparing yourself negatively to others. So use this episode as a jumping off point. Use this episode as something to be that light bulb so you can be like, you know what? I have been viewing this in a really negative manner. It's time to change how I view comparison. It's time to not only cheer on the people that I am seeing have success, but know that that success is also possible for me. So let me get to work and go make some shit happen. That's the gift of comparison. So this was a quick and fast podcast episode. There's always more discussions like this inside of the Social Jane Facebook community. For example, last week I was talking about repurposing content using StreamYard, which if you're watching this on YouTube, this was recorded via StreamYard. And then I'm always hopping in with some Canva tips and also email marketing, lots of branding and design. So there's always things to be learned. And if you're building a business in order to build brand recognition and make more sales, the Social Jane community is absolutely here to support you. So I'll see you next time. That was so much fun. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you want to get a shout out or maybe even inspire a fellow entrepreneur, go ahead and take a screenshot of yourself listening to this episode and tag us in your stories at Social Jane Media. Positive by Design is brought to you by Sarah Glenn, CEO of Social Jane Media, the branding and business coaching agency that teaches you how to discover your authentic brand, lead with value, and build the business you desire. If you're ready for more, head over to the Social Jane community. Link is in the show notes. I'll see you inside.